I'm putting it on. You're good.
Well,
He's not answering, so hopefully let's go ahead.
He said probably 5 or 10 minutes, so.
call the order of the Board of County Commissioners meeting on September 14th, 2020 at 6 p.m. As always, we'll start with the invocation. I'll ask the Vice Chairman, Mr. Mendenhall, if he would
Thank
lead us,
you.
please.
Join me, if you please. Almighty, gracious Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this beautiful day. Lord, we thank you for the world that you created and all the wonderful things in it. Father, as we go into this meeting tonight, we ask for thy wisdom. We know that if we turn to you and look to you, that you will be able to work through all things. Now, as we go into this meeting once again, I say, dear Lord, thank you for this day. All of these things I ask in thy precious name. Amen.
Please continue standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go ahead and ask for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now do our comments from our commissioners and managers. Start with Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just welcome everybody here tonight. We've got looks like about a full house under the governor's extended 2.5, so we might could take one more, but good to have everybody here. Hopefully there's some folks watching on YouTube as well, so that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mendenhall.
And also, same thing for me. Thank you for coming out. I always enjoy seeing people coming out to participate in our governmental process. And I thank you for coming out tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule. And for anybody that is watching us on YouTube as we stream, thank you also for participating tonight. And hopefully the meeting will progress rapidly and we'll be out of here soon. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. I can also, what they said, it's good to see everybody here tonight, and I hope you safe travel back home after the meeting. And with that, I'll pass on our county manager, Mr. Oakley.
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman, other than welcome everyone, and I hope all is doing very well.
We got time for one more comment.
Just in time.
Apologies for being late. Being a nurse is a little more than I realized it
I
would be.
understand.
I'll do it say later.
Wife had hip surgery a week and a half ago, still requiring care. To your surprise, my turn. To your surprise, and Commissioner Morris and others, I have no comment.
All right. Are you okay? Are you feeling okay?
Mostly.
All right. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to our public comments. I'll say your name. When you come here, if you would, please state your name, your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to talk. Once that buzzer goes off, I'll kind of raise my hand. If you don't mind, just wrap it up quickly. Start with Mr. Reverend Gregory Harrison.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
I'm here to make a formal request from the East Wanaco Park Council, some of the council members out in present. We approached this county commissioners once before on a project that we wanted to enhance the park in Wanaco. And that project was to clear some timber to create and enhance the park safety. When we brought this proposal, we had a great concern because the park is isolated. It's off of Burton Loop Road. And it cannot be visible seen from the main highway that goes up. That's Martin Luther King Road Drive. We have had some incidents which we deem necessary to provide safety for those people that goes over to the park. We have had some people over there shooting. I don't know if they're using it as a shooting range or what. And we have had some people come in and be destructive toward the park with four-wheelers. I contacted the sheriff department and they said they would try to get some cameras down there to find out what's going on and see if they could catch those people who are doing that. But we approached the county before about clearing some timber, land that we're not using right now. And this will enhance the park safely and visibility. Also, it would provide funds for the park to hopefully pave a parking lot at the park. So we feel that this project would enhance the park by using and safety. So we're here to make a formal request that we be allowed to cut down timber and use the proceeds as a project to pave a lot at the park. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I believe we also have Reverend John Harrison.
He just signed up to say
Okay, all right. George, and I apologize, I can't see the last, is it Owen? Davis, okay. You don't want to say anything? Okay, all right. Well, thank y'all for coming tonight. We'll now move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
In discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Now move on to there's no items on the information agenda, so we'll move on to the discussion agenda. Item A, the equipment financing. Ms. Glenda Pruitt.
Joy and I sent out for multiple banks to see if we could get some proposals for some financing for our equipment for the physical year. And we received 3, First National Bank, BB&T, and Zion Bank Corporation. In your agenda, I broke down what their submittals were. After Julia and I have reviewed everything, we would like to ask the board to proceed with the Zion Bank Corporation. They were at a 1.33% interest rate with the 3-year. That's what Julia recommended us doing, and they have no bank fees. So that's what we would like to propose to go for. We are okay with it going to the next meeting. It doesn't have to be approved tonight. Their quotes are good until mid-October, so we're good.
Okay. Thank you. Glenda, any questions or comments for her on this? Commissioner Walker.
What did you say that interest rate is again?
It's 1.33%.
Wow.
They were the lowest. BB&T was like the highest, and it was 1.52. So,
Amazing.
yeah,
Thank you.
we were pleased with the quotes.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Manning, would you have stuff?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Morris?
I don't have any comments. I'm good with it.
All right. Good deal.
Thank
You
you.
say you don't need nothing
No,
tonight?
it doesn't have to be tonight. It can be moved to the next meeting. We'll be
Okay.
fine.
All right. Thank you, Glenda.
Thank you.
On item B, the DSS board request for substance abuse. Mr. Greg Collins. And Stacy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you have a letter in your packet requesting possibility of using some COVID funds. The Department of Social Services, as you approved, I think 2016 or 2018, the liaison to assist with our substance abuse and mental health. As you know, this is a major crisis that we have had for many, many years. We hope that you would consider using some of the COVID money to temporarily fill an additional EMS mental health and substance abuse liaison, and then hopefully at next year's budget that you would consider making this a permanent position. So if those funds are available, we would ask for your consideration. Stacy, do you have anything?
I really don't have anything additional to add. Reed Thornburg is here from Cardinal and can definitely speak to the need for this if you needed any extra push.
All right. Is there usually fundraising things that y'all try to do to help raise money on this, or?
It's a
No.
budgeted.
It's a budgeted position that we have right now. What we're asking for is help for her.
Okay.
We currently have somebody in the position.
We
as a
currently
substance
have
abuse
somebody, we
liaison.
need another position because of the need is so great. She is, well overworked. The mental health and substance abuse needs of our county and citizens is, astronomical. So we're just requesting help.
Okay. Any more questions or comments on Commissioner Mendenhall?
No, I certainly have seen the need for this, but I would like to hear from Reed, if he wouldn't mind coming up and just adding on to anything that Greg and Stacy has given.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, Stokes County has a reputation for being pretty high up on the list for opioids and overdoses and substance abuse, unfortunately. We've seen that in a lot of our rural communities, especially in the Triad area, but across our 20 counties, as some of you know, hearing on the board and also through the county commission support for behavioral health. And so I know that in my work with some other counties, Davidson County, Rockingham County, they do have the dedicated staff available that work with law enforcement, sheriff's department, local PDs, work with EMS, work with DSS to support those efforts, and really the education piece as well as the outreach. I think that combination, probably what you discovered, is really a 1-2 punch at trying to make that connection for individuals to seek recovery and to look to address their substance use, which oftentimes, unfortunately, takes some very good people and has them in positions where they're at their very lowest, where they probably thought they would never be. They're not throwaway people, we know that, and we know that every opportunity to assist an individual and engage them in the road to recovery is worth the effort. We all know that it's just a relative or a friend or a family member away from one of us, if not already one of us having, being faced with a situation where we have a loved one or someone we care about that's unfortunately is impacted by the opioid crisis. So, but certainly I'm here to support the work that DSS is doing and the work that you all are supporting to help with substance use and recovery in the county.
Commissioner Walker?
How'd you know?
I seen you raise your hand, up.
Very impressed with your peripheral vision, Mr. Chairman. Greg, Stacy, others, appreciate you being here. I think the need is very self-evident. I cannot imagine a more unhealthy situation for our society, local community, whatever, than people isolated to their homes, scared to death over this, whatever it is, causing depression, suicides, put things in a quick perspective. And I think I've said this at a previous meeting. We've had 3 COVID deaths, unless there's another one that I'm not aware of. Greg's shaking his head no. 3 COVID-related deaths. And I don't know whether that's from COVID or with COVID, because there is a difference, but they're all getting counted as COVID, from my understanding. But we had 3 suicides in our community in 1 week. It seems to me like the precautions are causing far more damage than the virus itself, but it is what it is. So we can't seem to do anything about executive orders and precautions and all these things, but we can do things to help with the peripheral damage it's causing. And I think what Greg is requesting on behalf of our board, which I attend the board meetings, I was selected by this board to represent this board on the DSS board. And this isn't a new topic. I've been hearing from there and other sources as well for a while now, the overload condition Ms. Pierman's in. And there's needs going completely unaddressed because she's one person. And her ability is this much, and she's a good worker for everything I hear, but the need is this much. So I hope the board can see fit to listen favorably to the request. And as I understand it, it's just to the next budget time, and it will be evaluated then, whether the need is still there, whether it needs to continue. My guess is, and I don't claim to be an expert I'm amazed at one thing, that's how little I know about things, generally speaking. But my best guess is, it's gonna take years to recover from the damage this is causing. It isn't a quick fix kind of thing, because some of the damage that we're incurring because of the COVID, et cetera, it's gonna take years to recover from. But I really believe this would be a step in the right direction to help Ms. Pierman out. She's doing a good job with the resources she has to work with. She just needs help. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, thank you. Commissioner Morris?
Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would definitely support discussing the position in the next budget cycle. As far as this one goes, I would support it as well. Just a couple questions. I think in one of the narratives one of you guys wrote that said that we were second place for opioid emergency room visits, or emergencies, but aren't we tied for first with 22 per 100,000?
Well, that was for the month of June.
Oh, that was just for 1 month. I saw this one thing, it talks about overdoses per 100,000. We're tied with Robeson County at the top of the list for that. So that just reinforces the need for this. This is a full-time position you want, both now and probably later, right? Okay. Would this be funded out of the COVID $1.8 million COVID money we got? Is that where it would come from?
Yeah, we
For this
can, for
year?
this budget cycle, yes. We can
Yeah.
use it for personnel-related things like that, so, yes.
Okay. Okay, how much does it cost for the rest of the year? Did you guys happen to add that up, or?
Yeah, that would
I can give you an estimate.
Yes. Julia's saying that would only be through December for this right now, and then, well, you're talking about this budget year though, so you're talking about through June 30th.
Yeah, but doesn't that COVID money have to be spent by December 31st?
No.
If so, it would only be 2 pay periods can be paid
It
out.
probably just has to be obligated
It
by
has to
then.
be,
wouldn't it?
it just, only thing that has to be done is that is allocated. And they can allocate for the whole year.
Have to be spent.
We have to spend it for things like, and I'll double check and make sure, because we haven't talked about personnel yet, but it has to be spent for related things as far as like if we're ordering PPE stuff or cleaning supplies or plexiglass, things like that has to be paid for and done. As far as doing a position with it, I'll double check and make sure that it would be through December 30th. But if it sounds like you're making a commitment to do it the next budget cycle too, it might not make much of a difference in your decision as far as just we could take more of the money from the
So
COVID,
probably it'd be
COVID
good to
money.
get an answer to that question, because we've got a budget review in
November 16th.
November.
34,450 for the year, rest of the year, then 47,000 after that.
Well, you've got to remember though, DSS, federal dollars will pay 50% of that, state dollars will pay about 4%, so the county ends up paying about 45-46% of a position.
Okay, good. So then by November, when we do our budget review, we'll know if we have to put other kind of money against it for the rest,
I'll send them.
January through June.
I'll send them a specific question about this case and ask, and I should get something probably within a day or two from them back.
Okay.
So,
So
Okay.
we're only talking about the county proportion of the cost
Mhm.
of this position, right?
So it's really not that much, just like most of the positions are, as far as the local share.
I don't know the percentage.
Well, I think, I'm 100% behind doing it, because I know how bad the problem is, and this, what I would call a political shutdown is having a lot of negative effects on things like this and suicide and so forth. It seemed to kind of get overlooked, so I think we need to pay close attention to it and do what we can. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I have a follow-up
Sir.
question, if Commissioner Mendenhall would like to go. You're
I'll go
welcome.
after you.
Thank you, sir. I think the need, as I mentioned, in kind of following this, especially in recent weeks, is very apparent. Are there other needs that we need to be considering, since we do have some opportunity that we don't usually have with the COVID funds? Is there anything else that any of you can think of that while we have this opportunity, we might take advantage of in a positive way?
If I could speak, I think the only other real concern that I've seen, especially in rural communities, is domestic violence. And domestic violence.
Hard to understand you with that.
Domestic violence.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
And partner violence, and the impact that that has, especially on kids and those that are impacted, that may very well lead to child welfare, unfortunately, child welfare outcomes. And so I know that we've seen an increase in that, substance use, domestic violence. So.
May I
Yes, sir.
continue? Stacy, Greg, you've heard what this gentleman just shared with us. Is there anything else we need to consider or be thinking about as far as domestic violence, child abuse, mental, emotional issues, over and beyond what Wanda is able to cover from her position?
Our child protective services numbers are increasing, and I expect with the school going back in session that they will increase quite a bit more because there's more eyes on the situations. The state appropriated monies to counties for part-time through December, additional child protective service help and adult protective services help, which that will be impacted as well and has been. Although that money is only through the end of December, and we've had contract positions posted and have not yet found anybody interested in working, 29 hours a week for no benefits, doing these services. And then you think about those positions, there's a lot of training that comes along with them. So here it is, middle of September. By the time we were to get somebody hired, by the time they got trained, it would be the end of December.
It'd be nice if we could find maybe some retired social service workers who would be interested in that type of option. But I think, Shannon, if I may please, Shannon, you're checking to see exactly kind of fine-tuning our perspective on what we can and can't do.
Yeah.
And the timing is one factor. But I think with Commissioner Morris and County Manager, comments they've made, observations they've shared, the thing that we need to do before December, end of December, is allocate that money. But it doesn't have to be spent in that time frame. And I'm wondering how long could it go? Since this COVID thing is going to cause damage into the future, how many years, for example, could we fund a position like?
We're kind of guessing at it right now too, because it's still not 100% clear that we can do that.
Right, but we will know soon.
No, but I have a feeling that Julia's correct on the end of December 30th, because it does read as if you have to allocate everything and it has to be spent, as far as things like personnel issues, like the money that we had to share with the municipalities, that 25%, they have to spend it by December 30th or give it back. And then it goes back to the state, same thing as like what we have allocated, just like with the grant program or anything else. So, and like you're saying, that money you've received has to be spent by December 30th for those positions. So I think it's going to fall under the same guidelines as what they're having with that issue. So it would be a matter of getting somebody in and using what we can until, and we'll ask them for sure. And if we find out different, that's great. But I have a feeling that Julia's probably right on that.
If a need is there, the way I understand it is, I could easily see using county funds to support a position like we're discussing, at least till the next budget cycle, and see how things are then, if necessary. Much better to do it with the COVID money. But when you talk about the municipalities, and I don't want to make it a longer meeting, I need to get home quick as I can too. But when you're talking about the municipalities, Shannon, and them doing it by the end of the year, I can see how they would be in the same situation we're in. They need to allocate it by the end of the year. And if someone doesn't have every penny of it spent by the end of the year, I can see it carrying over some, because some of these things are not flash in the pan type things.
No, they're not, and every county's argued that point with them as they administer that, and they've not come up with any kind of extension as of yet, so everybody's in kind of a scramble to spend it the best way they can to help their county and their people the most, but they're not changing that date as of now.
Well, they want to force us into a knee-jerk type situation just for the heck of it, I guess.
Take it back if you don't use it.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you, government. But, anyhow, Mr. Chairman, I'll stop there. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Butler.
Go ahead, you can go first.
Commissioner Mann, go ahead.
I just have two quick follow-up questions. I think the real question is, do you have to have that money obligated on a contract by the end of the year? And the period of performance of the contract maybe could be all of next year or something. But if it has to be completely spent up somehow by the end of the year, that's kind of really ridiculous.
It does sound ridiculous, but it's exactly how they explain it to you.
It should, it should be.
I agree.
It should be if we've got it obligated on an agreement or a contract by the end of the year.
Oh, I agree, but unfortunately, that's not what they've done to us.
No, I mean, that's what we need to tell them that they need to do, though. They need to.
We talked when we had the meeting with Senator Berger when he came here and asked if he had any kind of pull with that, and he said he'd been hearing it everywhere he went of try to get some kind of extension on this, and he wouldn't have any luck with that either.
Yeah, we've tried, the Directors Association has tried as well.
But isn't that how you're understanding it? You just can't put that on your books that you're going to pay somebody and then
That's
just
my
have it.
understanding.
That's how I've been explained.
No, a lot of money's going to get sent back then, because there's no way people can spend it by December. I'm guessing.
You know, I asked the question.
No. The other question I have, does this position do anything with domestic violence, or maybe indirectly?
Indirectly, they work with the same clients sometimes.
Okay. Okay, good. That's all I have.
Commissioner Mann.
Thank you. I just want to remind everybody that's here, all of our commissioners and everyone in the audience, when you start talking about mental health and substance abuse, a lot of the COVID-19 issues that a lot of people have felt like it was concentrated toward the elderly, that the elderly had more difficulty with that. But I just want to remind everybody, this has created depression and other things of that nature amongst all ages. And I say that because of, unfortunately, I know of a student in our county who was going to be a senior, and he committed suicide. And, so it affects everybody. It doesn't just affect the elderly, that people are 65 or 70 or whatever. It affects people that are 12, 15, 18 years of age also, and all in between. So this is something that is very important to me. So that's all I have to say.
All right, we appreciate y'all being here tonight and answering questions.
Thank you.
Move on to item C, the Tax Administration Monthly Report.
What do you want to do with that position request? Are we gonna?
But is it something they need tonight, or?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna try to, I'll get an answer to the question about the monies as far as like if you can use it through just December 30th or if you can extend it through a position through the end of the year. But do you want to put it on action for next time or I think it sounds like you all want to do it. So if we can use some of the money through the COVID money, we want to probably act on that pretty fast.
I put it on the action agenda, didn't you?
It's 2 weeks on, if we can find any answers on that to see if we can use it.
Oh, yeah, I can find out an answer quicker than that. I just want to I know they're struggling down there with the shortage and stuff, so I want to try to get that for them as quick as we can if you want to do it when, so.
That's fine, just put it on action the next time then.
Yeah, because I think I'll get an answer to that pretty quick.
I'd prefer to do it tonight.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead, and you have 2 votes to go ahead and put it on the action agenda for tonight because of the urgent need that we're discussing. And even if the COVID money only goes through the end of December, or even if the COVID money, God forbid, but even if it doesn't cover serious needs like we're discussing, I'm willing to use county funds to help with this situation because I don't like to see people committing suicide, domestic violence, child abuse, emotional issues going unaddressed, mental issues going unaddressed, if there's anything at all we can do about it. So I'd like for it to be on the action agenda. I think Commissioner Morris indicated that as well for tonight if we can.
All right, Commissioner Mendenhall?
Yeah, I feel like they really put us in a bind if we have to have it spent by the end of December.
Exactly.
And we are now in the middle of September, and just think about that. I mean, October, November, December, we're looking at 3.5 months to utilize this money. So in my opinion, I think we need to go ahead and act as soon as possible and so I'll support action tonight.
Well, and you can vote to do it tonight through December 30th and use the COVID money, and then when you have your meeting in November to do the budget review, you could, we'll find out way before then, but then you could take it up then and reallocate it into this budget from those funds.
All right, let's
So if that way we're doing it the right.
Yeah, I figured it'd be $15,777 for county's proportion.
15,
My
7.
question is also, can any of the mental health MOE monies help fund this too? If COVID,
I prefer to use a COVID and save that for later, but I mean, if you can't,
well, I
don't
mean,
have
if that
COVID.
can't be used, I'm just.
Yeah, if it couldn't be used.
If it couldn't be used, is there any in that station somewhere, if I have asked her?
I'd say so. I imagine we have a balance in the MOE that's not allocated, don't we?
And are you meaning 15,777 for the entire rest of the budget year, or
That's the
through
county's proportion.
For December?
December or through the rest of the year?
June.
Through December or through June 30th?
Through June 30th.
Through June 30th. Is there, okay,
That'd be the total cost through June 30th.
okay.
For Stokes
I
County's
projected
portion.
that there'd be 9 months pay period. If it was approved next meeting, and her getting somebody in here, it'd be 9 months, and then the pullback for the audit's like 9.40. And so that's how I did the projection of how much it would cost. I forgot the federal and state funding we can get for the position. So the county's proportion would be 15,770.
Very little.
either way, it sounds like we're gonna fund it either way, COVID or not, so I mean, we can go ahead and move
Well,
on.
you could
with what
approve
we
it,
got.
like you said, through June 30th for the amount being the county proportion 15,777, using as much COVID funding as possible. And then that way we're covered.
That'll work.
So action tonight for that, right?
Yeah. Please.
Sorry, Richard.
All right, Richard, go ahead.
I'm fine. First item I've got, as always, is the tax office monthly collection status report. Happy to report we've collected 54%, a little over $12 million of the $22.2 million budgeted for the fiscal year. So we're off to a good start. Next item, we've got real and personal releases less than $100. We have 25 accounts that total $2,195.72. Then we have real and personal refunds less than $100. That's 3 accounts for $183.31. Then we have real and personal releases more than $100. That's 6 accounts totaling $1,661.82. And then we have real and personal refunds more than $100. That's 6 accounts totaling $1,502.50. Then the next 2 items are resolutions, one for the minimal refund of $15 and one for the minimal tax bill resolution. Both of those resolutions have been reviewed by Nick Overby, and he said they were good and they could be approved as submitted. The next item have 3 late elderly exemption applications for 2020. And then the final item I have is the 2% discount for tax year 2020. That's all I have for the regular monthly meeting. I also have some good news if I can pass something out to everyone.
Good catch.
Yeah. Butterfingers.
Thanks, sir.
And what this is, on Friday morning, the reason I didn't get it in
Before is I had turned the agenda in on Wednesday. Friday morning, the Department of Revenue submitted and certified the public utility values. When those were submitted, there was a $84.5 million increase in our valuation, which equates to, on a 66-cent tax rate, $557,700 in additional revenue that we're going to receive. That'll be paid by January the 5th. The lion's share of that $84.5 million is Duke Energy. their value went up $83 million. And, you know, so their value went up a lot. So that's good news. You know, don't know if it'll be recurring. You know, on the second sheet I give you is the history, and if you look at the history of how public utilities work, they pick up for about 3 or 4 years, and then they'll go down. We're in an upward tick now. The last 3 years we've been up, but the last 2 years we've been up significantly. We had a 12.59% increase from last year. And last year we had a big increase also. So that's good news.
Richard, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Richard, this is the highest increase I've seen on this.
It is.
Can you think of any reason why now?
Well, we have no control over it.
I know it's a Raleigh thing.
Raleigh does that, but, you know, business is growing. You know, Duke Energy, you know, they're growing, they're expanding. Their revenues are up, and they're revenue-based. This is revenue-based, income-driven. And with those incomes being up, you know, we receive, because I think on a state level, you know, we're Stokes County, but on the whole state level, I think we get about 5.3% of the entire pie for the public utilities for Duke Energy. So they're a big player. You know,
Thank you.
Quick question. Richard, does it have anything to do with the variability in the amount of coal that's being stored out there or not, this value?
Well, coal is one part that drives the value.
Okay.
This year, the coal was actually up. I think it was from 57.5 million to 68.5 million, so it was up a little bit. Now, that could go down next year when they get that second phase online with the natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
But they assured us, talked with them, I had to talk with Jake, they assured us that, you know, that probably wouldn't affect the value that much, because with the new cost that's incurred for the natural gas generator, that, you know, we probably won't see a decrease. I know that Rutherford County, they done the same conversion a few years back, and their value went from 430 million to 421 or 22, so it wasn't significant, you know, like you might think.
You don't get any kind of credit for any natural gas storage or anything, do you? I mean, we probably won't.
You know, a lot of that stuff's under pollution abatement, and we won't get anything for that.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, sir. Richard, appreciate that. It's good to get some good news like that. Is there anything else on this for you?
That was the regular one. No, I just need to move a few items over. You see those to the consent for the 28th.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll just go ahead and keep you up here for the item D, the tax office restructuring request.
Yeah. I'm requesting permission to restructure the tax office. The restructure will not require any additional staff. This is necessary for the office to perform more efficiently, and will place employees in positions that accurately reflect the job duties that they perform on a daily basis. With a new compensation and classification study being implemented in the near future, it's the perfect time to bring up this topic. Spoken to County Manager Jake Oakley in great length concerning this reorganization of the tax office, and Mr. Oakley is in full support of this. I have attached a flow chart that depicts the new recommendations for reorganizing the office. I will work with the Mercer Group to update job descriptions where applicable. I'll also work with our finance director to finalize the total cost involved for this reorganization if the board approves the restructuring. I estimate the total cost to be around $5,800 annually.
Any questions for Mr. Green on this?
I do.
Yeah.
5,800 increase annually?
Mm-hmm. That's my estimate.
You mean based on the salary study or just on the other restructuring?
Based on the scale that we're at right now, it's.
Oh, okay. Is that 19 people? Is that what's reflected on your chart here?
I think it's maybe 16 or 17.
It's one person per block, plus a couple of them got an X2 in them.
Yeah,
so.
it's 17 in all if you count the contract person we have right now.
Oh, okay. So what does it mean then where it's like it's got an X2 in there? That's 2 people, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the blocks up here, these blocks here where it says personal property unit, that doesn't.
Oh, okay, I see, yeah, I see your point. How will you execute this if we approve it? Will people have to go through a job competition process to fill some of the positions, like a hiring process, internal hiring process?
There will be a couple of folks moved around, but other than that, most people will just be given the title that they're actually doing, or be put under the umbrella of the direct supervisor. We have a couple of folks that, in our personal property, they don't have a direct supervisor in the personal property. They actually report to me. All the other facets of the office, they have a direct supervisor within their unit.
So you're just trying to have a more streamlined organization with the proper supervision over the various areas? Is that kind of what the problem you're trying to correct?
That's what we're trying to do, and we're a small county. You know, if you're in Forsyth County, they've got 75 folks, I think, working in their tax office, and you may have somebody who works in collections or in personal property, let's say, and all they may do is value boats. They may know how to value a piece of business personal property. Where our folks are cross-trained and they do more job duties, and with the salary study, the compensation salary study classification, I just thought this was the perfect time to address this and try to do it.
That's why you're doing it instead of during a regular budget cycle?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any idea how many new job descriptions you'll have to have done?
Probably 2 job descriptions, and then maybe 2 or 3 that just have small modifications.
Supervisors, probably?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
More questions, comments on that? Richard, when you need to answer on that?
This would be fine to move to the 28th.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And on the item E, letter of support, Ms. Shaver?
So are we moving the tax office restructuring request to the action agenda on the 28th? Is that
Yes.
right? Okay. Great. Okay. So I've got before you the letter of introduction, and this was presented a couple of meetings ago, and I think you might have been absent, Andy, at that meeting when this first got presented. And the gentleman is here tonight that presented all the information that went along with this letter of introduction, Sarvashree out here. So it kind of just died off and didn't come back to the meetings, and it wasn't put back on an agenda. So he has been requesting an answer on this letter to know if the commissioners would sign this letter of introduction or support for him to go out and take it to local farmers, businesses, things like that, to say that he's presented this to you and you agree with some of his measures that he's doing to kind of give him a way to speak to them about it. So I've just placed that on your letterhead for him with the names on it. So it'll be up to you all if you want to have any questions for him about this, more questions, or want to move forward with doing that. And he's here if you have any additional questions from him from what he presented at the last meeting.
Any questions from the...
I have a comment, please.
Go ahead, sir.
I have questions when you get done.
Sarvashree, good to see you here this evening. You're definitely a regular. How many times would you estimate you've came before this board to share information and encouraging things for our county and the people in our county over the years?
Dozens and dozens.
I'd say 25 or 30 anyway.
At least.
At least.
Over the past 5-6 years, I guess, 7 years. You know, some of the things that the county is looking at, like physical health and mental health and all these problems, I'm saying are stemming from neurophysiological functioning. If you have strong neurophysiological functioning, strong immune system, then you resist the problems, you have a strong base for physical and mental health. And our physical and mental health is something I've been involved in about maybe 50 years. I don't know if you saw everyone here who was here. I think Andy probably wasn't here for the video presentation that I made. It turns out that our physical and mental health are dependent upon nutrition a lot. And we're not getting the kind of nutrition that we think we are because of our agricultural system. The way our food is grown, we don't get the plant secondary metabolites, they're called. Those are the kinds of chemistry that support a strong immune system and strong mental and emotional functioning, the ability to sleep well, the ability to heal. All those things are based on that kind of chemistry that we should be getting through our foods. And we're not getting it because of the way our agricultural system is designed at the moment. To get that kind of quality in our food, we have enough quantity of food, but to get that kind of quality in our food, we need a different kind of agriculture that's based upon tremendous vitality in soil life, because it's that soil life that prepares the chemistry for the roots of the plants to take up that nutrition to create that kind of quality of food. All that's been researched to a great degree, and it's well understood, but it's not understood generally by the public, and sometimes even less so by the farming community, because they have their own habits and systems of agriculture that are based primarily on chemical agriculture. And a lot of the chemical agriculture is toxic, and that toxicity destroys the life in the soil, and that destruction of soil life then destroys the potential for that crop to produce secondary metabolites to give us the kind of quality food that we need to strengthen our immune system and to have strong physical and mental health. So it took me years to understand why people weren't getting well on what we thought were good diets. And so I started testing all of the food that we can purchase, taking it home, testing it, and in this last email that went out to you, I included a BRICS chart and a little discussion of a BRICS refractometer, which we've talked about before here. If you go out and buy one for $20, you can test the food that you buy, and you can find out what I'm saying is true.
But for the sake of time, and I certainly support the concepts, and one reason why I asked you, Sir Bessery, how many times you've been here, and I think we both agreed it's probably dozens and dozens of times. Well, each time you've ever came before this board, you brought something very positive. It's very clear to me that your heart's in the right place for this county and the people in this county. Because every time you came and spoke that I can recall, no deviation at all, consistently, it's been for the good of the people in our county and for this county. And I commend you for that. You put a lot of time and effort, but no financial return that I'm aware of, or no compensation of any kind. You've used your time and your resources to try to make our county better. And I think when it comes to working with you, all that you've done, the effort you've given to try to bring some ideas and concepts that our people could benefit from, possibly the very least we could do for you would be a letter of support and say, we know this gentleman, and he's brought a lot of good ideas before us, and there's sound scientific doctrine to back up whatever he's saying, and particularly in this letter. I just wish it was a little simpler. I sometimes feel like I understand things better when they're about at the 5th grade level. And this is slightly above 5th grade level. But, and sometimes you have to use, if your farmers are usually pretty busy, unless you just catch them at certain times, they probably would like the shorter version possibly as well.
Well, the main thing that I want to do is to be able to go out and promote this and say, the county's looked at this and they think it's a good idea to look at nutrition and health and coming up with an agriculture which is less costly and more productive than what we currently have. And nobody has to buy into it or try it or anything, but at least if I can go out with some, piece of paper that says, I'm going out to try to help, and the county knows I'm going out, and they've looked at it, and they would like to see the county improve, and I think we can improve the county through improved agriculture, then it's worth doing. So
Mr.
if I
Morris.
have your blessing to go out and do it, then that gives me a little one-up to go out and try to talk to some of these people about this new agricultural approach.
Commissioner Morris, did you have something you wanted to do?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Fossey, for being here. I have some problems with this, and I'd like to kind of just ask you a few questions, and maybe you can clarify for me. First of all, I think I would be uncomfortable signing a letter that has this sentence at the end of the first paragraph, and that sentence says, unfortunately, our medical health care system provides little insight or guidance as to how we can develop and maintain a strong immune system. And my question, I guess, if I call several medical doctors and ask them if that statement's true, would they agree?
It depends on their background. I think certainly they would agree. The medical system doesn't understand the agricultural system very much. They do know that the
Is
immune
this a
system...
criticism of the medical system for not doing what it should do as far as immune systems go? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, and I'm not ready to criticize the medical system since I'm not a
No,
scientist.
it's just saying the expectation that we might have from the medical system to be responsible for improving our immune system is not a good expectation because they don't have that background. That's not part of their research. They come at it from a medical angle, not from a nutritional angle. In fact, most medical doctors don't take any courses in nutrition at all, or didn't used to. Now they're starting to include one course in nutrition in medical school.
Okay, well, I still don't think I'll sign it if it has that sentence in it.
Okay, read the sentence again and tell me
It says,
again.
unfortunately, our medical health care system provides little insight or guidance as to how we can develop and maintain a strong immune system. And I mean, somebody needs to prove to me that's true before I would sign a document that says that, basically. The next question I have, your presentation was very interesting that you gave us before, and logical based on the presentation, the way it was done. But I think I asked you that at that time, what's the practicality of that? I mean, I actually almost like have a hobby of studying agriculture, not your type, but the type that Greg Collins and other people do. And I just find it kind of fascinating, the machinery and the ways they go about producing and feeding the world. And I think they're doing a really good job
It's
of it.
totally amazing what they can do in terms of
it is.
quantity.
And so I also don't want to sign something that makes it sound like that agriculture is not doing what it should do. I mean, your thing strikes me as more of I wouldn't say science project, but something that maybe would be small scale, and I don't understand how it would be less expensive than the other.
Right now, a large portion of the
farming.
cost in farming is for fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. When you create a stronger soil that has stronger life in it, the plants are able to build their own immune system just like we do. When they build a stronger immune system, then you don't need as much in the way of defense against those intrusions, pests and so forth. There have been interesting studies where you have one field right next to another field. In both cases, there are pests present. But in the field, which is grown through biological agriculture, the pests won't attack that crop. They'll attack this crop over here that doesn't have the same, doesn't have as strong of immune system for the crop. So they devour it. One of the tenets of biological agriculture is that pest control is needed because the plants themselves are not able to produce the chemistry that would protect them. And in biological agriculture, when you get all of the minerals available and all of the resources available for the plant to utilize, it creates its own strong immune system. You don't have that expense. There are farmers utilizing this agriculture on a large scale, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 acres. And they're able to grow without any pesticides, any herbicides, any fungicides, and in some cases even not any fertilizer, because they've restored the natural fertility of the soil, which is based on soil life. If you have a vibrant soil life, then you have a great deal more of nutrition available, natural fertility available to the plants. And you don't have to come in and keep adding soluble fertilizers like they're doing now. And when they put all those soluble fertilizers on, because they're soluble, they get washed away every year into the rivers and creeks and lakes, and that ends up being a kind of pollution, actually. So the agriculture that we have is almost more profitable for the chemical industry than it is for farmers today. They have high expenses. And this is a way for them
Why
to
haven't they all
restore-
converted to this already then, if it's such a great deal?
They don't know about it, and it's not promoted through the educational channels that exist so far. It's relatively new in terms of agriculture.
Okay, okay.
Five or 10
Okay.
years, 20
Did y'all
years.
get the video and all last time? All the
What?
information? Did y'all get all the video and information last time?
What information?
the video.
When he came here last time, did y'all get all the information that you needed? Or was there any more questions on the letter of support?
Yeah, I'm almost finished.
Okay.
You saw the video.
Yeah, I saw the video,
Yeah,
yeah. But I just don't know, why is it important to have a board of commissioners that are non-scientists give you a letter? What are you gonna do with it? I mean, who's it going to?
Well, when
Are
I
you
go
trying
out
to get grants with
when
it?
I
or
go out to talk to
what's-
farmers, when I go out to talk to anyone, community gardeners, community garden people, and so forth, I want to be able to interest them in a new approach to agriculture, because I see this as the way to restore both physical and mental health. And the research bears that out. We know that when people have a better diet, they're healthier and their mental health is better. You can see that in any part of the cities around the world, when they don't get good nutrition, they have a lot more problems, a lot more family violence, relationship problems, all kinds of problems stem from neurological insufficiency, you could say.
Okay.
And that's coming from our food, and that's unappreciated. People don't know why they don't feel good. They don't know why they're sick.
I eat all this food from all this stuff, these other ways of growing things, and I feel good, and I'm perfectly happy with it. You know? So, and, you know, my point is, you know, I don't mind supporting you doing this and talking to folks about it, but I really would prefer a letter that just says something real simple instead of talking about what the other medical community don't do, implying that everybody that uses chemicals probably shouldn't be. I really just don't agree with all that, to be honest with you.
Well, we have to look at what is causing the problem.
But I don't want to do the scientific analysis tonight. I would just prefer a letter that's.
But people are going to do the scientific analysis, and I'm not forcing anything on anybody. I'm just trying to bring a new perspective.
Why is it important to have a letter from us? I really don't.
We can move on. I mean, we can put this on the action agenda. I mean, if y'all don't want to support it, that's fine. I mean, we don't need to be here all night discussing this right here. It's
The reason,
Let's put it to action agenda.
the
Yeah.
bottom line reason I would like a letter is to have your blessing to go out and do this.
That's
Because if I have to do it on my own, I don't have any backing.
That's fine. I mean, that's what, so we can put on
We
the
can
action
give you a
agenda.
letter to Blessing to go out and talk to folks about it, I suppose. But I think it needs to be pretty carefully worded, what's in the letter. It needs to be different than this.
Mr. Walker, do you have something you want to add real
I'll
quick?
try to make it brief. How's
Okay.
that? I appreciate all that Sylvester's doing. I've never seen any ill intent in anything he's done or suggested or any concept that he's brought before us. It's all for the benefit of of our neighbors, let's say. And I do agree with Commissioner Morris on one aspect of what he's sort of questioning or looking at regarding the letter. Simpler and easier read might work just a little better. This is pretty scientific, and it's pretty big dose to sort of give them all right up front. And I think the reason Sylvester is wanting our concurrence is that we have credibility in the community. He's still sort of a newcomer. His heart's in the right place, and he's trying to do good and help his neighbors, but he's an unknown. And I can see why if he had maybe a simple letter just saying, this gentleman has brought many ideas before the Board of Commissioners. They all seem very valid, or at least for the most part. Nobody agrees with 100% of anything, seems like, but for the most part, they're very positive, very upbeat, and very scientifically based. So just a simple letter. But how about, may I offer a suggestion? Could Shannon and Jake work with Sylvester and sort of polish the letter a little bit, simplify it if necessary, bring maybe one or two possibles, if that would be agreeable with you, Sylvester, to our next meeting?
Sure. I just want to have something that, I mean, I know you're not scientists, you know. I am a scientist. I have a degree in engineering physics, and I've studied all kinds of science.
So you're well educated.
But I know that you're not scientists, and if you want a scientist to look at the letter, and you know some scientists, I think that would be a great idea.
Actually, I was thinking more in terms of, it's scientific, pretty much the way it is, but just saying when there's a new concept, I'd be glad to explain it to you. Person to person might be the best way for you to get your message across, and a letter of introduction hopefully would get the door open for you.
Let's just open the door. I'm going to have to present everything in a way that people can analyze to their heart's content and look at it and see whether they want to do something with it.
Give them some of the information you shared with us concerning this issue, which I totally agree with this concept. But anyhow, maybe work with Shannon and Jake and bring back a letter, and we'll make a decision at our next meeting.
Okay.
I would agree your intentions are totally, I don't disagree with what you're saying, maybe on a small scale or whatever, but I don't want stuff criticizing other types of farming and medical community and all that in there, or if we're going to sign it.
Sounds good. And Mr. Farr, I appreciate you coming out here tonight also speaking with us. And I think it's also an event, Commissioner Morris, I believe you're involved in it. It's going to be like a farm day or something on October 1st. Is that right?
First weekend October.
First weekend October, a bunch of farmers. So, I mean, if you don't want to, it's on Snow Hill Church Road.
I presented it at the farm day before.
Okay. So that'd be something good to come to and talk to some of the farmers there, because there's going to be a lot of them there from what I understand. So, but I do appreciate you coming out tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. We'll go ahead and move on to item F, the NCDOT request for addition of Sheraton Court and Dixieland Court. Mr. Oakley?
This is good news, Mr. Chairman. Normally, the state is requesting abandonment of maintenance. This time, they're adding to their system. You've got 0.125 miles of Sheraton Court and 0.4 of a mile of Dixieland. So this is something that the state is requesting, that they will have maintenance agreement on this road, and by doing this, you are establishing a right-of-way here that is basically what's in the map here, covered by the recorded plat that shows the width of this road. And that's what the county will have now, is a right-of-way on these sections that you'll see in the map. You see the green dotted line, that's the distances on these two roads that will be now taken over by the state. We'll have an SR number, and it will be maintained by the state from this area from now on. And if it ever is abandoned and goes away, then it'll be something that'll have to come back to you guys for the abandonment of right-of-way. But once they take it over and turn it into a state road, it automatically creates this right-of-way that the county is in control of. So with that, I'm asking you to move forward because that gets the state paving these roads.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Any questions or comments on this, Mr. Oakley? All right.
I think it's great. I'm ready to move it to action personally.
I don't think there's any.
You can do it whenever, but I told them when they sent it to me, it will be finalized the last meeting in September, so you can do it tonight or you can do it in your normal procedure.
Don't bother me now. How's the rest of the board feel about it?
Action agenda next meeting.
All right.
I'm good either way.
Same way, I'm good either way.
I know where I'm going with it, so
Right,
I'm good
but-
tonight myself, but if y'all want to wait.
I know I'm gonna support it too.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna
it's not-
support it too, but my,
If we're all gonna support it, we all do it tonight.
except for one thing, Commissioner Morris, if you read our protocol and
I know
what's
about
on our
that.
agenda, then it says if there's an urgent need, and I'm not sure I see the urgency in this.
We'll put it on next meeting, that's fine. All right. Go ahead and move to the action agenda. Item A, the Animal Control Advisory Board appointment. I'll open the floor for any additional nominations.
That was for Susan Halfcock was presented at the last meeting for that vacancy.
Motion that be closed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Poll the board now, Commissioner Morris.
Susan Halfcock.
Same.
Susan Hathcock. All right. Item B, the Hospital Operations Committee appointment request.
So you had some, we've had this on the agenda for a couple of times, and there's been an overwhelming response to serve on that committee, so we keep getting applications. We advertised it a couple weeks ago for the first time with a couple of names on there, 5 names. And then they received another application for Justin Duncan that I presented at the last meeting, and since then, an application for Jason Duncan came. So I talked to the members of that board and to Pam Tillman at the hospital, and they have submitted their 5 final members that they are requesting to be appointed, as well as some alternates. And we spoke with Ty about that last meeting about if they could have alternates, they'll need to change the bylaws with you as the Board of Trustees. But he didn't see any reason that you couldn't go ahead and move forward with appointing these 5 individuals and stating that you're going to have Justin Duncan and Debbie Vaden as alternates once the bylaws are amended, and that we've more than satisfied our advertisement period. Even though we haven't put Jason Duncan on a meeting till tonight, it's been advertised for well over a month now on our website and the appointment. So the names that you would be recommended for appointment in accordance with the Hospital Operations Committee is Greg Collins, Olivia Shelton, Kimberly Walker, Dwayne Young, Jason Duncan, with alternate members being Justin Duncan and Debbie Vaden upon the change to the bylaws.
Commissioner Morris, I know you're over this committee, correct? Is there a reason why, like Justin Duncan and Debbie Vaden's not on there? Don't they have medical experience?
They do. We can just take 5 to fill out the 9 members. So
Okay.
we want to have the alternates there to fill in if any of the members can't participate or something once we get the bylaws changed. So we intend to let all of them, everybody that applied, participate.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
This, by getting Jason Duncan, I mentioned last time, gets Pine Hall community represented, and we didn't have that before. And we've got that facility out there, medical facility and everything, so we really need that geographic representation around the county.
Okay. I'll open the floor for any further nominations.
These 5 we've already nominated.
You'll need to not just nominate Jason Duncan, since he's not been nominated as of yet.
Yeah, I'll nominate Jason Duncan.
Second.
So we-
Okay, do we have to close the nomination?
So you just nominated Jason and not
Right.
All
Justin.
the others have
Already
already been
nominated.
nominated.
Justin's been nominated also.
That's my understanding.
Justin has been nominated.
Mhm.
Nominate that we close it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We still have to pull the board on this too?
Yeah, you can do the list as presented if you want,
Okay.
with what I've already read out about the alternates.
Go ahead, Commissioner Morris.
Motion that we do the list as presented.
As presented.
Yeah, as presented. Allen, Shelton, Walker, Young, Duncan. Jason Duncan.
Yeah, I was coming with you. But as presented.
As presented. All right, item C, the DSS Board for request for substance abuse. Have any motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
As discussed earlier.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. And if you will, please take us into closed session.
To consider and take action with respect to the position to be taken by the county in negotiating the price or other material terms of an agreement for the acquisition or lease of real property pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A5.
I have a motion going to close.
Make a motion, we go into close.
I have a second.
Made a motion.
Do I have a second?
Make a motion, we go into close.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting closed.
5 minutes?
Go ahead.
I believe it was
Okay. you're right.
Antifa deer.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Commissioner Langford.
He had his stomach virus.